Share screen. Okay. All right, everyone. Dawn Bond, Director of Operational Services. Me and my team coordinate both move in and move out. Today, we are dedicated fully to spring 2024 move out. And getting the slide to advance is going to, oh, I see it. Yep. So I want to start by talking about Friday, May 17th. And I wouldn't normally put this title on any slide if I could help it. But we are going to encourage families to avoid Friday, May 17th if you can. The traffic coming in for our graduate commencement ceremony, as well as our families that have a student with a seated final. There are about almost 2,400 students that have a seated final, which means they're in a classroom taking an in-person final, either at 8 a.m. or 10:30, do not have an alternative. And so halls close on Friday, May 17th at 6 p.m. due to our commencement housing needs and also the impact of commencement happening that entire weekend. And so there are some small windows here for families to sort of maneuver. As I've indicated, the graduate commencement will be held at McGurk Stadium starting at 10 a.m. There are expected about 2,400 graduates, both master's and doctoral candidates graduating, and 12,000 guests expected. And so that brings a lot of traffic into that part of our campus. University Drive will be closed from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. From Faring Street down to Mass Ave. And so the whole section of University Drive that's on our campus property will be closed to just commencement traffic. Those are the buses that will take families from alternative parking lots, and then vehicles that are related to commencement. And so there will not be any other traffic allowed on University Drive for that about 6-hour window. And so that will make it challenging to get to some of our Southwest residence halls. We have created maps for the residence halls that are impacted by this change in the flow of traffic on University Drive. And so I'm going to strongly encourage you throughout this presentation to go to our website, which is the last page of this presentation. You'll be able to link to it and browse through, locate your student's residence hall, take a look. Depending on the day that you're coming, traffic patterns will change both Thursday and Friday, but the significant traffic changes that you might not be able to figure out on your own are on Friday, May 17th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so please expect very heavy traffic incoming between 8 a.m. 10 a.m. and then outgoing at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. So mission critical, if I were to get one idea across in this webinar, it's that you'll need a plan with your student. And so in the process of discussing that plan, talk about when they will be done with everything, with finals, with papers, with projects. Some of those things can be done remotely. It might make more sense for your family to pick your student up earlier in the week and have your student finish a paper at home if that's possible. Are there things that they can pre-pack now? Start doing a little bit every day to get to the goal of the day that you're coming for the pickup. Our experience has taught us that many students will wait to the very last minute to pack, and it will be very stressful for you when you arrive. Can you come to campus for a first load? So I grew up at about an hour from here. And if I were in this situation as a student, I'd be asking my family to come take a load of stuff and put the majority of my belongings into the vehicle, take them home, and then just leave me with some essentials to get through the last few days on campus. The elevators will be very busy. The unload zones are 20-minute limit. And so there's some challenges around loading more than one car for sure. And what we've also learned is that the belongings have essentially doubled since you dropped them off in fall for fall move-in. Will they be shipping items or using a local storage company? That's a conversation that's been pretty lively on the Family to Family Facebook page. We do have an excellent vendor, Dorm Room Movers, who will come and pick up your students' belongings and store them over the summer and then deliver them when they move back in for fall. So that is an option, or they might be using a local storage company. That's an option so that you limit the amount that needs to be packed in the car as well. Are there items that your student can donate because they're graduating or they've realized they no longer need it? And in a lot of cases, you've realized it doesn't fit in the car and you've really got to just leave. And so we do have new to you collection locations in all the residential areas. I have a slide about that towards the end of this presentation. And do they have what they need to pack? Do they have the materials they need to pack? We've experienced some family members, parents arriving with all of the packing materials in the car, thinking that they can then stay in the unload zone. That's a 20-minute limit. There's absolutely no way you're going to be able to pack your student in 20 minutes and get them downstairs and into the car. And so is there a way for them to secure boxes or bags or suitcases, plastic bins ahead of time so that they're ready for you when you come to pick them up? So I've talked about this a couple of times already, but arriving and loading, please use the maps that are on our website or the changed traffic patterns for both Thursday and Friday for some of our residential areas. Honors College and Southwest residential halls are the two areas that we do a changed traffic pattern for those 2 days. If you plan to assist your student when they're to pack, you'll need to park in an adjacent parking lot and walk in, and you will not be allowed to access the unload zone. We will have staff on the ground asking you if your student is ready, and we do ticket those cars with a 20-minute limit. And so if you're bringing the packing materials, have a plan for how you are going to get them to your student very quickly, probably not getting into the unload zone, and then you'll need to park the car. On the day that we have commencement, there will be very limited adjacent parking to the Southwest and Honors College residential areas. And so parking will be literally on the other side of campus. And so if that's your plan, then you may want to avoid coming between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. if your student lives in Southwest or Honors College. Your student can sign out a bin if there's an elevator in their hall, but what we've also learned is that sometimes it's easier just to carry out. Obviously not from the 22nd floor of a tower, but if you're on a lower floor in a building with an elevator, sometimes waiting for the elevator can eat up your 20 minutes. And so think about that, sort of be situationally aware. Getting a bin can be helpful, but in some cases it can be a hindrance. I've already talked about the elevators. Sometimes the elevators can add time because there's someone on every single floor trying to get in or out of that elevator. To complete a proper checkout, your student will need to deloft or debunk the beds. They will need to return the room to the condition they found it at move-in, which does mean cleaning and sweeping. Suites and apartment mates should make a plan for cleaning shared spaces. This is another lesson we've learned over the years, is that oftentimes the last person to move out is left with the most to do, and that doesn't seem fair to me. And so you'll want to encourage your student to have some conversations with their apartment mates or suite mates about who's doing what, who's cleaning the bathroom, who's cleaning the kitchen, so that there isn't billing after the move out process. Students need to remove all items, including trash and recycling, and put them in the appropriate areas designated for their residence halls. They've been doing this all year, so they'll know where trash and recycling goes for their particular residence hall. If you've rented a microchill unit, your student does need to unplug it, defrost it, clean it, and leave it in the room. The microchill folks will come to campus after move out and pick up those items. Please have your student check their mailbox for any remaining letter mail. Then ultimately, all said and done, your student's packed, the car's full, you're ready to go. Many students, you'd be surprised how many, forget to return in their key. And so it's important that they walk their key over to their residential service desk and turn that in so they can complete a proper checkout in our system. And if they are departing outside of residential service desk hours, they can go to their RSD now and make arrangements for access to their Dropbox outside of their RSD, as well as secure a key envelope so that they can fill out the information needed about the key that they need to drop. There are options for students to mail back their key. There is a fee associated with that. So again, I want to just strongly encourage you and your student to remember to get that key turned into the service desk so that you can avoid having to mail that to us priority mail. There's a very short deadline to return that key to us before we start turning things over for summer. And there are 4 residence halls, all of which are first year halls, that there is no option to mail the key back because we're immediately using those residence halls for either commencement housing or summer housing, and they are Oak, Pierpont, Moore, and Kants. I talked briefly about this in a previous slide, but we do have a longstanding program here on our campus called the New to You Collection. We also host a tag sale at Fall Move-In with the items that we collect. This year, there is a permanent site in Southwest at Hamden, and they will be open starting at noon on Tuesday, May 14th. We're super excited about the permanent site because that's why there's 2 exclamation points there. We're a really strong partner with our colleagues who coordinate New to You. This keeps a ton of usable items out of the trash stream. And so in all of the other residential areas, including one in Southwest on the Horseshoe, there will be tents set up and ready on Monday, May 13th to accept not broken, still usable items that we will clean up and sell at our tag sale. That tag sale this year will be the Saturday of move-in weekend. And we will have a link on our website, the Move Out website, that does detail all the items that they accept at the New to You tents. We do have one option for students to stay beyond the 6 p.m. closing time. All of our graduating seniors and student staff that are involved with supporting commencement and move out have already been given permission to stay, and they will be granted permission to stay beyond 6 p.m. on Friday, May 17th. If your student believes you or that your student believe you have an extenuating circumstance, the link to the form to request permission to stay out can be found on the Move Out webpage as well. Students with permission to stay are allowed to stay through Monday, 10 a.m., the 20th. That's the website that I've talked a lot about on every single slide. And let's go to questions. Jonathan, I know you're great at capturing the questions that more than one person answered that my team's already answered.
Yes, absolutely.
What questions do you have?
All right, so let's think about what are there specific restrictions that people need to know about for traffic? I know that you mentioned that, but people are still asking some questions about that. So what are the restrictions that folks need to know about?
Yep. So the biggest restriction, which is not really a traffic restriction in my opinion, but I'm going to include it, is that each car that comes into the load unload zone for their residence hall has a maximum of 20 minutes. And 20 minutes goes by really fast. And so it's important that your student is fully packed. If they've signed out a bin, they've already signed out the bin and have the belongings in the bin and are ready to literally push out, get on the elevator and push out. And so 20-minute unload zone is strictly enforced. We have staff on the ground all day Thursday and Friday, which we expect to be our heaviest days of move out. The other traffic restrictions is that we make Sunset one way both days, Thursday and Friday. Take a look at the maps if your student lives on on Sunset in any of those 4 residence halls. We also have inversed our traffic pattern on Friday because we are not able to use University Drive. And so we will be bringing families in on Lincoln down to Faring. And so again, don't want to, I could describe every single traffic pattern to you, but it would be confusing because I'm such a fast talker. Go to the map for your student's residence hall if they live in the Southwest residential area and are impacted by the University Drive closure. What I can also describe to you, because I've been here when commencement happens very early in the morning, coming off of 116 to access Mass Ave will be highly structured because they are sorting the traffic, basically. They are getting commencement folks into the parking lots adjacent to the McGurk Stadium. They have incoming just regular flow traffic. They've got traffic that they're going to turn left onto Com Ave. And so you're going to see tons and tons of cones and police officers directing traffic. And so that slows us down, right? We're not driving 50 miles an hour in a traffic pattern like that. And so there will be some delays. I've seen the traffic back up onto 116 all the way down to almost Route 9 during the times that commencement is at its heaviest incoming. And so you may, if you choose to come in on 116 to access that side of campus, you may sit in a little bit of a traffic pattern on Route 116. We are encouraging people to think about coming in from a different direction. Come in from the north, down through North Amherst, Sunderland and the North Amherst, and enter the campus on the north side. even if you're coming to Honors College or Southwest. That may get you here, get you to your students' residence hall easier. We don't have as many challenges with the east side of campus, given its proximity away from the commencement ceremonies. But what I can tell you is that we have a construction project on Eastman Lane out by Sylvan residential area. There was a sinkhole about 2 weeks ago, and so it has closed the road completely, part of that road. We are going to have one lane open Wednesday and Thursday of move out week, and then it will be fully open on Friday. And so we're working with that construction project to open that up a little bit on what we think will be the heavier days, but it'll be a one lane traffic pattern Wednesday and Thursday, but still passable. And then the traffic on Com Ave will also be impacted because they will change the traffic route on Commonwealth Ave. That's the street that the Mullen Center and Commonwealth Honors College are on. There will be a bus route and then only one lane of travel in both directions. And so I think that's the extent of our traffic patterns. Please note as well that there is some local construction happening on our roadways. We're always fixing the roadways out here in Western Mass. So Hadley has been working on Route 9 for about 2 years. I have been informed, though, that they are not doing any roadway work on Friday, May 17th, but only Friday, May 17th. So if you come in any other day next week, you may experience a little bit of delay on that pretty long construction project on Route 9 from the Cooley Dickinson Bridge to the main sort of retail area of Hadley. And then I'm also been told that they are repaving Route 9 in Belchertown from the 202 intersection. That's the one that's out by the McDonald's there, all the way to the Amherst line. And so my hope is, I haven't had this confirmed, is that they'll also stand down on May 17th. But if you're coming any other day, you may experience some delays out in that Belchertown area, which you go through Belchertown if you get off the Mass Pike in Palmer.
All right, Don. So, couple themes here that I'm going to throw at you. So, first is when and where can folks get bins during move out?
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have one of my staff put the bin hours in the chat so everyone can see. Does everyone have access to the chat, Jonathan, or is it just
Yes, they
us?
will see it if you
Okay.
put it in the chat.
All right. So we're going to put the hours in the chat, and those are the start times and end times. I don't have them off the top of my head, but they are on our move out website, and the locations are there as well. But someone will paste that in there in a moment as soon as they're able to get to the website.
Mhm. All right. The next question is about the 20-minute parking or stopping area. Is that every day during move-in? When does that start?
Mhm.
And then are there other options for people to park if they know it's going to take them a little longer? Are they able to park in our permitted lots? And will they be ticketed?
Yes, good questions. So the 20-minute load enforcement will be done on Thursday and Friday, staffed with the ticketing. We put a time stamp and your cell phone number on a sheet and put it on the windshield so that we can call you if we get to a place where we don't want to tow you. On all the other days, we go by the honor system. And I just want to really encourage the idea that it's a team effort. We are over 13,000 students on campus. There's, depending on the size of the building, 4, 5, 6 unload spots in front of each building that we will have marked off for families to use. If you're really going to be longer than 20 minutes, that's okay. Park in a permitted student lot adjacent to your student's residence hall. Do not park in the Whitmore lot behind me. You will get a ticket. So you'll need to lot 44s, lot 22s, 11s, 49s up in the Orchard Hill Central area. Those are the places where you can stage your car. We are not going to ticket the week of move out unless you're in a ticketed lot. Those are usually the lots that have the 24-hour. Again, it's the Whitmore lot. It's the lot by the rec center. It's some of the more interior lots. And so again, I'm going to encourage you to work with your student who probably knows where the students park adjacent to their residence hall. They're often purple lots. Okay. And then that's where you would park if you're going to walk in and help your student pack while perhaps they're taking their last final or finishing up their last paper or project.
All right, Don, this next question, you are going to have to tell me if you want to answer this or not. Um, but because you are on the demonstration and safety team,
Mhm.
folks want to know, will there be impacts to that to move out because of this?
We're hoping not, but we also don't control when students exercise their right to free speech. And if there are plans or intentions for students to protest, I wouldn't think it would impact move out as much as it might impact commencement ceremonies. We are hoping, though, that these are such important events to our students and their families that they won't be. But I can't guarantee that. From a move out perspective, I don't think unless it's on that commencement day, Friday, May 17th. I don't see how a protest in the center of our campus might affect your ability to move your student out.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. Is there similar to move in? Is there Are there allotted times for people to come in and out? Folks are asking maybe why we don't use that same system, and then kind of how does that work?
I wish, I wish we could use a move out reservation. We find that move out is just a little hairier than move in. Move in's very structured. We know what to expect. We have control and command of all of the aspects of the operation. What we have found with move out is it just really depends on how fast students are able to finish papers and projects. They may have had all good intentions to be done by Tuesday, and now they're realizing they're not moving out until Thursday because they needed an extra day. So there are just too many variables to control for when it comes to move out and having a structured move out reservation. Open to ideas on that because I always love strong operational ideas. Um, we have used strategies like the ones we've talked about today, is to pre-plan, to take as much home on previous weekends. We've been messaging about that for about the last month. We sent an email to all parents and families who have their email registered with the university about a month ago, encouraging them to take home fall clothing, winter things they've never used all year that they're like, oh, I packed this and I've never used it all year. That's the pre-packing, the pre-trip. We know that some families who are out of state and international are not able to do that. Dorm removers, again, is another option, local storage facilities. And students can move out any time of the day. And so, if they do need to arrange a key drop using the envelope, they should just go to their residential service desk so that we can turn their card access on for them so that they can get to the drop box at their service desk, as well as get the key envelope that we have a pre-printed fill out form on, so that we can check them out properly the next business day when we check those drop boxes.
Is there a point that is too early to leave? So maybe students are taking finals early. There's a comment about a student being part of a club sports team and they're taking their finals early. So is there a restriction on when they can leave?
No, no, go, 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 go. You can leave anytime you want. Just remember to have your student turn in their keys so we can check them out properly and follow the expectations that I overviewed and how to do a proper checkout as far as cleaning the room and leaving things as they were, so that you're not charged any fees.
So the next question is really about, if students with disabilities, what should they expect?
Mhm. We work closely with students with disabilities, and so if a family or a student with a disability thinks that they need a little bit more time, or maybe they have a seated final on that Friday, and the idea of moving out in a very short window is overwhelming, they should use our permission to stay late form and move out on Saturday or Sunday or even Monday morning. It'll be much more even paced by the time undergraduate commencement is over on Saturday morning, and so we would review that, and that's the type of request that we would make an approval for.
Great. Our next question is this: can you talk to us about this process for international students? Is there additional time allotted? What should their process look like? Should it look any different?
Basically the same answer I just gave you about students that live with disabilities. Students that have international flights, their travel is being impacted by needing to take maybe local transportation to an airport that's a little further away, Boston, New York. Those are the types of students that we approve for permission to stay late. And so they should access the form in the permission to stay late, and we will review that and make an approval. We want to support our international students getting home.
So, Don, what are students' responsibilities for cleaning their rooms on their way out?
Mhm. So we don't need the student to clean it top to bottom like we do before they arrive, but it needs to be what we call broom clean. And so all personal belongings need to be removed, all trash and recycling deposited in the appropriate places, and then the floor needs to be swept. Or if things are real grungy, wiped down. So if you haven't wiped the top of if your student hasn't wiped the top of their desk down for a full academic year, it probably needs a little Windex and paper towel love. But we don't expect windows, walls, unless they're extremely dirty, to be cleaned. We just want the room in as close as the state as it was moved into at departure.
And do we provide any of those cleaning supplies?
We do not.
All right. The next question, is there a time limit for using bins?
The time limit is essentially the same as the unload zone. It's about 20 minutes. And so again, that needs to be timed as well. You can't sign out the bin Wednesday night and just to have it overnight and pack it and have it all ready for mom or dad to come in on Thursday morning. Those bin stations, which I hope are in the chat now. Let's confirm that.
Yes, I posted it to everybody.
Perfect. Um, the bin sign outs happen at those stations across campus. There are also bins at our residential service desks. If your student is planning to move out outside of those bin hours, they can sign the bin out at the residential service desk. We don't have hundreds of them at each service desk, but there are a good handful, and 20-minute limit. And I just want to go back to the cleaning supplies. And so if your student hasn't had cleaning supplies all year, all
Please
right,
bring a lot of cleaning
I'm
supplies.
gonna leave
Yeah,
it right there.
yeah. Uh, okay, great. So, still getting some questions about the traffic and things about that. So, where are the sinkholes? Are there alternate routes coming from the northeast? I know that you know that, so I'm
Mhm.
comfortable asking that question.
Yeah.
I don't understand the geography of the city, so I'm gonna
That's
let you.
okay. I can tell you. So the sinkhole on Eastman Lane happened just above Sylvan, between Sylvan and UMPD is closed. And so you are able to get to Northeast residential area and Sylvan residential area by axing the campus off of North Pleasant and that rotary on the north end of our campus. And again, that Eastman Lane will be open. One lane will be open and alternately in both directions. There'll be UMPD on the ground managing that. One lane Wednesday and Thursday, and then fully open on Friday. And so the sinkhole, I'm not as worried about as honestly the commencement traffic that will be happening on Friday morning over on this side of campus related to the University Drive closure. There are 3 residence halls that have a little bit more of a challenging traffic pattern because they would be more easily accessed by using University Drive and entering into the Horseshoe in Southwest. The 3 residence halls that have alternate traffic patterns that are a little trickier, there's going to be more lifting and carrying because you're not going to be able to drive right up, are Moore, Pierpont, and Emerson. And again, I know this, I'm a fast talker. We're only 30 minutes into this webinar. The maps are excellent. And so really, if your student lives in Southwest and we've changed their traffic pattern, there's a few halls that we didn't need to change the traffic pattern for. James, Melville, and Thoreau have not changed at all. Sunset really hasn't changed, but just a reminder that it's a one-way street at during move out on Thursday and Friday. Go and take a look at the map. We have an incredible grad student who works for us, and they made some really great maps that I think are very intuitive and usable. And they're broken down by hall. Honors College also has maps.
Great. Next question is, do they have to change the bed height if they changed it while they were living in the residence hall? Do they need to move it back?
They don't. They just need to debunk and deloft beds.
Okay. Next question is, are there things that students are charged for regarding damage? If there's paint damage, other things like that, what are the charges that students can
Mhm,
expect?
mhm. Normal wear and tear, we do not charge for. Little teeny tiny speck of paint missing here because you took something off a wall and a piece of tape pulled it off. Please don't worry about that. You painted the wall a totally different color while you were here. We're going to charge you for that.
You say that because it's happened, right?
Yes, it has happened. The shade's broken at move out. The shades break, and if your student didn't report it to be replaced, that's not something we bill for. The window's broken, we're going to charge you for that. There's furniture missing, then we're going to charge you for that. And so it's important that hopefully your student hasn't put any of the furniture that they were issued out in the hallway and that has since disappeared, because it will be impossible to recoup that at this time. If there's significant damage to an item, it's clear that somebody crunched that chair into pieces and it's just broken, 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 we're going to charge for that. We don't do a lot of damage billing at Move Out. We actually have really great students who take care of their spaces all year long and follow our expectations to return them to, as best they can, the state that they moved in. And then once our custodial and building maintenance teams go through the residence halls after we close, that's how we generate billing. And again, we don't do a lot of billing because students really don't damage the items in their residence halls. Normal
Mhm.
wear to tear, no billing.
Okay, great. So talk to us about bins on Monday and Tuesday. Are those available? And if so, where do folks get them?
hmm If you're moving out Monday or Tuesday, and I'm going to assume because Jonathan asked the question that way, we don't have bin stations set up on Monday or Tuesday, then you go to your service desk. You can get one for from your residential service desk and sign it out. If you know you're moving out, go about 20 minutes before you know your person's arriving, get your bin and put your belongings in and bring it on downstairs. Monday and Tuesday will have a much different cadence around traffic pattern, unload zone, and busyness on our campus. So if you are planning to move out on Monday or Tuesday, you're making a good decision, and it should be much easier and an easier flow. Again, I want to remind you, if there's not an elevator in your residence hall, a bin does you no good. And if you live on a lower floor in a building with an elevator, sometimes it is just easier to carry things out than to go through the process of walking to your service desk, getting the bin, walking the bin back to your residence hall, using it for now, 12 minutes. So sort of think about what might be easiest for you and your family.
Folks asked if you could talk about Eastman Lane again. They said you spoke a little fast for them.
So Eastman Lane runs from UMPD on East Pleasant down to North Pleasant Rotary at the north end of our campus. The section of the road that's closed is between just above the Sylvan residential area, where there's a very small parking lot that you can still access, up to UMPD. So it's a very small section of that hill between Sylvan and UMPD, but it has resulted in us needing to close the road entirely because the sinkhole repair is all the way across the street. It takes up both lanes are dug up right now. We are going to have one lane open on Wednesday and Thursday. So if you were to come in off of 202 and access East Pleasant and come around and want to turn left down Eastman Lane at UMPD, you will be able to pass through on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be down to one lane. You'll follow the direction of the police officer on the ground. On on Friday, it will be open entirely.
Don, folks are wanting to know, how do we share this information with students?
hmm We've emailed students twice about move out expectations. We emailed them in April before the long weekend in April, Patriots Day, the day of the Boston Marathon. And so we got that email out to students and families the week prior to the long weekend in Massachusetts. And then we emailed students again last week, Thursday. And so, most important part of both of those emails was to have a plan and to use our website with all of the resources that I've been talking about rapidly here today on our website. I think our website's laid out really nicely. It's broken into sections. If I've said something quickly and it caught your attention, but you missed it, this has been recorded, and so you can rewatch this. But I would encourage you to start with the website and just poke around. There's a button on the main page of the Living website that says Move Out. Click on that button. It'll take you to everything that I've talked about today. Traffic patterns, bin hours, the New to You program, what we expect at checkout, all the steps to completing a proper checkout are all on our website. In fact, I made my presentation by copying and pasting our own website so that I could highlight the important information today.
So the next question says, is it possible to move out on Tuesday, May 21st? Um, their student has some conflicts.
Unfortunately, no. The very last day to move out is Monday, May 20th at 10 a.m. with permission to stay late. So that person must have permission to stay late to even get to Monday, May 20th. And if you're not sure about their status, you can have them email into our residential services email box, which I did not include in this presentation. And so I'll ask us to put it in the chat, and then Jonathan can share it with the folks. And even an extenuating circumstance like an international flight won't get you extension into Tuesday, May 21st. They'll need to make alternative plans.
Right. So there are not a lot of other questions. So if there are still questions, I'm going to get some time, folks, for people to submit those. But Don, what would you say is your biggest piece of advice about move out?
Hmm. Yep. Our experience, because we are out there both heavy days, Thursday and Friday, is that move out can be exhausting for the families because the belongings have compounded. And I don't mean just a little bit more. We average, I think, I don't have data on this, I haven't actually studied it, but we observe the things are not going to fit in the car that you think are going to fit in the car, especially if your student has done a lot of online ordering and shopping and things are harder to get back into bags that were all vacuum packed when they came, and now they don't have a way to vacuum pack them. So I think it's really important for you to talk with your student about how much stuff they think they have and what vehicle you're bringing. We have experienced many families and students having to abandon that larger item on the sidewalk, on the curb, because it just does not fit in the car. And that's how those mini refrigerators get donated to New to You, because students realize that this is just not going to fit in the car. It's the biggest item. They don't want to sacrifice, that suitcase of clothes that they love, and it's the thing they leave behind and donate to New to You. And so talking with your student about what they think they have and sizing that up and making sure that they have access to the materials they need to pack. That's the other one that I see, mostly moms. We do all the hard work, moms, just almost in tears because nothing's packed. When they get here, you're thinking you've got the 20-minute load, and you're finding out from your student when you arrive on campus that they're, by their estimation, 25% packed, and you get there and like four things are packed. And so talking to your student about what their plan is, what are they working on literally every day to get things packed in an orderly way. I've seen students walking out with like clothes hangers in one hand with some clothes and a lamp. Well, that's not a good packing plan, right? And so so talk with them about what their plan is, make sure they have access to boxes and things. Dorm room movers, again, there's a price to using dorm room movers, but they're so efficient. They get the boxes to your student at their residential service desk. The student pre-packs, leaves them in the room. Dorm room movers comes and picks them up and stores them over the summer and then drops them back off for fall semester. So for some families, that just works better for their student. So, hi, Rashawn.
I have lunch delivered because we're doing this over my lunch.
Yep.
But Don, the other question is, I guess or maybe a statement is, don't believe your student if they say they didn't buy anything and they don't have extra stuff. They really tend to underestimate the amount of things that they have purchased over
Yes.
10 months. Uh,
Yes.
okay, great.
Yes.
All right. So, any other final messages that you would leave our families with before we wrap up?
Definitely look at our website. If you're not finding what you need on your website, or your situation's unique or has extenuating circumstances, drop us an email. We're fully staffed answering our mailbox. We're happy to help. We'd rather help you this week and early next week than get to crisis point on Friday afternoon. So please reach out to us. We even reached out to Jonathan last week and said, hey, can we do a webinar with families and parents, because we think we've got some things to talk about this year. The commencement schedule isn't normally on move out day. There isn't usually a large commencement on move out day that creates a large road closure for us. And so particularly for our Southwest residential families, there are going to be impacts that day. We are not discouraging people from coming between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. because we know if we do that, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. will become impossible. There will be too many people trying to come in that 4-hour window. We just want you to navigate campus using our routes so that you don't get frustrated. And honestly, just expect some wait times. I mean, if you go to the Taylor Swift concert, you know getting out of there is going to take you some time, right? Like it's just part of it. What I would say is that there's just going to be traffic. It's going to be part of it this year, given the amount of students that will be leaving on Thursday and Friday and all of the other competing priorities for our campus.
We hope you will be patient and kind with yourself and your students. There are 13,000 of you and not that many of us. And so also be patient and kind with the staff that you're interacting with as you're moving out. We are trying our hardest to get you all out of here because we know that you are trying to wrap up for the whole semester as well. And so are we. We hope you and your students have a great final season and a move out. If you have questions, please use that email address in the chat. We're always here and available to answer your questions and assist you in any way that we can. Thank you so much for attending. We'll make this. No, Taylor Swift will not be at Move Out. I just saw that question, but we'll be sure to post this on our Facebook, and we'll get them to share it in the Facebook group. It'll be posted on our website and on our YouTube so that you all can share it with a friend and make sure that we get this information to as many folks as possible. We really appreciate you being there, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Don. Thank you, Residential Services, for putting on this webinar.
Thanks, everyone. We look forward to seeing you next week, if not earlier. You can leave earlier. Have a great day.
Bye.